All right, so folks, let's get this party started. I need to tell you something that I don't know if I made myself clear. We are building water filters. That is coming up on the 30th. I'm working on writing up the final lab for the parameters for these things. The reason why it's taking me so long is because we haven't gotten it in all of the water tests yet. So what I'm doing is I'm working on putting all of the water tests together. Can I text you? I'm not sure what you want me to text you. All right. Anyway, so I'm working on putting that together. I will try to have that done by tomorrow and sending it out to you folks as far as what's coming up. One of the things I need to emphasize is in all of these experiments, do not drink any of the water. Even if you are filtering, even if you're taking clean water, putting some dirt and some, maybe dirt and some food coloring or whatever, or salt and food coloring and pepper, even though it's technically all right to drink, don't drink any of the water in any of this lab. Because next week I'm going to be bringing you folks in, and you guys are going to have your first prototypes of your filters, right? Right? Yes? Everyone say yes. We are so on it. We already built the thing already. Yeah, all right. Someone tell Mr. Daldy, please. Wait, someone tell Mr. Daldy what? Oh, you forgot your headsets. And you're in the library.
We have a library.
He's in the public library, I think. I'm reading your thing, so you can't turn on your speakers. All right. I don't think I can type today's lab. That's just too much typing. Yeah, go to the bathroom. So I'm not sure how I can help you. Not sure how I can. I'll archive this. All right, that's all of the typing I'm doing. I'm tired of typing. My hands are typing. Done. Okay. In this entire lab, next week I'm going to be bringing you folks in, and we are actually going to be testing the water. I don't know what you. Oh. All right. We are going to be bringing in. Dude, what is that? There's a transformer in the background. Somebody turn off your microphone. Okay. Someone's got a transformer. That's not very cool. All right. So, check this out. I want you guys to up the screen share. That's what I want you to do. Okay. So, check this out. Next week, I'm going to be bringing you folks in for lab. You are going to have a filter built for me already. We're going to test out your filter. And this time, instead of using water, and I'll tell you what we used the last time, by the way. We used water with food coloring and black pepper and some paper, circles and all of that kind of stuff. And it wasn't really dirty water. It just looked kind of dirty. Next time I'm bringing you folks in, I'm actually going to use real dirty water. We're going to get water from the back of the toilet, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put in some fertilizer, and we're going to put in other things, and we'll even get some stream water. That water has really extremely bad bacteria inside of it. And I don't care how good of a filter you build, I don't want you to drink the water in the end. Okay? Do not drink the water. Because I have a super expensive professional filter, and that does not filter out a very extremely bad bacteria that we have in Hawaii called leptospirosis. And that could kill you. So do not drink any of the water. Even if you build a filter and you're like, dude, my filter's like the best filter ever. Yeah, don't do it. Don't drink it. I do not authorize that. I did not tell you you should drink it. We're purifying water, but we're not building it to the point where we can drink it, okay? Now, if worse comes to worse and this thing actually, like an actual disaster happened, could you use your filters? All right, well, that's at your own risk. And please boil the water after you filter it before you drink it, because then maybe you might kill all of the leptospirosis bacteria inside of it. But it's so small, it's not even big enough for any of the filters that I have that are professional filters to be able to filter that stuff out. So don't drink any of the water. Again, I say don't drink any of the water. And there's actually one thing that I forgot to remind you about. Don't drink any of the water. All right? Can you use old parts out of broken filters? Here's the thing, is I haven't finished the write-up, but here's what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to limit it to about $20 that you can spend total. Your entire group, not just you personally, but your entire group can spend $20. Let me show you folks a little bit about what happened. Yesterday I had a meeting with just the Off Islanders. And yesterday I had a meeting with just the Off Islanders, and here's what we kind of decided. I'm redesigning the groups, and I know that I don't want to mess you folks up, but I'm changing the groups, and I'm only changing it just a little bit, so don't freak out too much, all right? Yes, you have to start building your filters. Your filters are going to be done by Wednesday next week. I'm changing your groups a little bit. Let me tell you right now, all right? Your groups consist of either 5 or 4 people. I took all of the Kauai students and put them on their own team. So, Titus, you weren't... Dude, Transformer. Get off my back, man. Alright. Now, turn off your mic. Everyone turn off their microphone. Or I'm going to kick you out of the class. Nope, nobody else's microphone except Mr. Dowdy. Alright. Turn off the microphone. Why can't I mute him? Just turn it off. Just turn off the camera and the microphone. You don't need to. Alright. You guys keep turning on the microphone. I'm going to kick you out. Alright. Here's the groups. Can you see it? Yes, you can see it? Alright, cool. All I did was I took all the Kauai students and I put them on their own team. So, you now have a group that only consists of Oahu students. What's nice about this is the groups that I made, I didn't really change them, I just combined them. I took out the Kauai students and I moved around a few people. I think I moved around Alexander, and also Seamus. Seamus is now in group 2 and Alex is now in group 4. Yeah. Who is Seamus with? Seamus is with group 2. So, contact your team and work on your project. It needs to be done by next week, Wednesday, because you folks are bringing it in to test. Obviously, Kauai team and obviously mixed team, that's not gonna. You guys aren't gonna be bringing it in to test and everything. So here's your new teams. I just added more people, so it should make it easier for you folks. You folks should be able to work better. Does that make sense? So each team is making one filter. Yeah. No. Each team is making one filter. You just now have more people to help you out with. Quinn, what's going on? What's the problem? You seem to be freaking out here. Yes, there is no more gold and blue, because the gold and blue was to split each group into smaller groups of 3 people, but I gave you more people to work with. So it's 4 to 5 people per team. Yes, the reason why I split your groups is because each group had 6 people in it. But the problem is, when we met up yesterday, so it's not just me and Faustine anymore. Ava, yeah, no, it's Faustine, Eric, Sierra, and Ava. Why? What's wrong with that? You have the same lab partners, you just have more help. Yes, so these groups are teamed up. So this one has 5 students, This one has 5 students. This one has 4 students, and so on and so forth. You have more help. Okay? I also have resources available for you, so if you want to come and pick up some of my, oh yeah, that's another thing. What I want you to do is, because I was thinking, you know what would be good is if we can create some kind of bartering system. Do you guys know what the word barter means? It's a trade system. It'd be cool if we could create some kind of trade system for us to share resources. So I have to actually change this. All right. I have to fix this. Oh, wait. Oops. All right. Let me fix this document. But if you go to here, there's the water competition resources. And what I want you to do is, as your group, there is no more group blue and group gold and whatever. I changed this yesterday because we had a meeting yesterday. As a group, I want you to come up with all of the materials that you folks are going to be using. Because maybe what we can do is, I'm going to create this on a Google Doc, so that way everyone else can see what everybody else is using. You don't need to put up your schematics. You don't need to give away all your secrets and all of that kind of stuff, because I know that this is a competition and you folks are super competitive and you guys are all crazy and stuff. But what I'm saying is, all you need to do is put down what you're going to be using. All right? Then what you could do is you can also list down extra things you might have. So then what you could do is you can look at what the other groups are using, and then you can say, hey, I could really use that. You can email them and say, hey, do you have any extra? Because I have extra coffee filters. You can have some of my coffee filters if I could use some of your activated charcoal or something like that. Does that make sense? Or like, hey, those people out in Lehua, you guys are out in Kaneohe side. You folks have like that super fine sand. Can you grab some of that sand for me, and I'll give you some of my gravel that I have, or something like that. See, Alex has tons of activated charcoal. I don't know where to get activated charcoal. I bought mine at 10 bucks a pound. So if Alex has extra activated charcoal, maybe he would be willing to share it if you would be willing to give him coffee filters, or you know, like the superfine sand, or rocks, or something like that. So you folks see what I'm saying here? You have to buy, no, you have to decide on what resources you want, and I'm only allowed, you don't have to buy anything. But you can buy stuff, because I know that students will want to buy stuff, and I'm going to cap it off at 20 bucks that you can spend as a team. So split between the 5 of you, that's like 4 bucks each. All right? No, you cannot do 40. All right, the thing has to be, I'm going to cap the diameter of the thing to be 5 inches. So it can't be fatter than 5 inches. So we're not talking about like using 5-gallon buckets here. All right? We're talking about building a small portable system. Again, I'm going to come up with all of these parameters and I'll send out an email to you. But I want you folks to start thinking about I want you to start thinking about the materials that you're going to use. Quinn, I have a question. What is it? Oh, okay. Quinn, you don't need to spend money.
Find the resources.
Yeah, just go and find the resources. Yeah. I mean, you know what I do is, sometimes what I do is I call the pet store that's right next to me, and I ask to speak to the manager, and I explain to them. I do this all the time. I'm actually super infamous for this. I call the pet store and I say, hey, I'm a teacher, and you know, like, I'm doing this project, and if you would like to support, we could really use your help with supporting your local schools, your local high school. And do you think you might be able to donate to me maybe half a cup of activated charcoal? See, I do that all the time. And then they say, yeah, yeah, of course, just come down. A pet store has the charcoal. That's where I got my charcoal from. The activated charcoal. Because they use it in their water filters. Now, that's a pretty good idea to use, right? And I go, hey, the activated charcoal. Yeah. So I just called Petco, and I was like, I think I called like the Honolulu or like, I don't know, Kalihi Pet Supply or something like that. And I talked to the manager. I said, hey, do you think that I might be able to have some of this? Because I'm using it, like I'm not using it for my personal use. I'm using it for a project for my students. And if you want to support the local high schools because they could really use your help, please, sir, please. Then they'll usually be willing to do that. All right. Quinn, is that cool with you? All right. Okay. So, we talked about the new groups. We talked a little bit about the competition. I want you to fill out this resource list. Let me fix the groups names and all of that kind of stuff. We talked a little bit about the materials that I want you to put on here. And if you do, this is worth 5 points, so make sure you do it. All right? This is due, I think, tomorrow. So I'll fix the names. You folks start typing in the materials and put in which materials you plan on using.
What about the description?
All right? The description, here's basically it. Look. Zippy's chili buckets. The diameter is 4.5 inches and the height is 5 inches. I have 25 of them. I have 23 of them because I gave 2 of them away already. I gave 2 of them to Maya because Maya's sitting right next to me.
Hello.
And I am willing to give these away. Come down to my office and pick them up for your team if you wish. You can have 2 to 3 for each team. There you go. I called up Zippy's 2 weeks ago and I told them I was going to be doing this project. And I asked them very nicely. I said, hey, we're doing this project, and I was wondering if you could support our local high school. Can I have 25 of these little chili buckets? So that way, that would be the perfect size for these water filters. And they said, yeah. Well, they took a while, but then they said, yeah, of course. So I went down, and I picked it up. And I picked it up on last week, Friday? No, last week, Thursday. I picked it up last week, Thursday. And I went down to Chili's close to where we live. And I went on my bike, or not close to where we live, close to where we work. So the Zippy's in town. And I went on my bike, and then I got to Zippy's, and it started like pouring buckets and buckets of rain. So I had to bike back just for you to pick up these things soaking wet. That's why you were mad. No. I wasn't mad on Wednesday. Yeah. Zippy's, yeah. I zipped over to Zippy's. Yes, exactly. Okay. All right. So, any questions? Comments, concerns? Oh, yes. There's one more thing I forgot to tell you. Don't drink any of the water. None. Do not. Don't drink any of the water that you're testing in the thing. Okay? Yeah. Because in Hawaii, we have leptospirosis, which is a bacteria that I don't think, I mean, no offense, but I don't think any of the filters that you folks build will filter out leptospirosis. Professional filters cannot filter that out. The only way you can really get that thing out is with UV water filter and also boiling your water extensively. And it will kill you.
Can you touch it?
In fact, a lot of times you don't want to be swimming inside of the streams, the freshwater streams in Hawaii, because you might drink some of the water, and some of the water has leptospirosis in it.
So it only affects you if you drink it?
I don't know. I know that you can get staph infections if you have like open sores and you go drinking in fresh water. All right. I spent 15 minutes talking just about leptospirosis and not drinking the water and all of the project stuff. Can we move on to our discussion that we're going to have today?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So I put up some assignments for you. I put up more assignments because I kind of went light on the assignments and the homework for this last couple of weeks because after being on, Naked and Afraid in Africa? Is that like a show?
Yeah.
Man, these shows are weird. Yeah, wait, so you just gotta be naked and afraid?
A guy and a girl meet up while they're naked and they have to survive 25 days.
What's with the naked part? I mean,
I don't know. They just have to be naked.
Oh, because it makes for good TV.
They
Weird.
can
Your
be-
generation is weird.
They can bring
All right.
one thing.
So check this out. I added a bunch of homework. It's in this section, water resources, okay? So sometimes your homework might pop up over here because we've been working in this section right here, but your homework might be in here. So make sure you guys look for what's going on. It's basically, you have to read this, chapter 9 and 10. This is chapter 9, video or homework responses. Here's a video project that you watch the half-hour video and you answer questions. And here's chapter 10. You read and you answer questions based off of that. And today we're gonna cover stuff on groundwater resources. Okay? So let's stop talking about being naked and surviving in Africa. Yeah, I know. I think it's weird. I think you guys are weird. Oh, by the way, there was one more thing I forgot to tell you. Don't drink any of the water in this experiment. Leptospirosis. Death. I don't think I can make that any clearer. I'm just making sure that you folks know. I do not condone that whatsoever. All right. Groundwater resources.
Still talking about it.
Yes, we're still talking about groundwater resources. Don't worry, I'm going to start talking about something else starting next week, so don't worry about it. We're gonna move on. But groundwater resources, there's a few things I need to tell you about the groundwater resources. The groundwater is one of Hawaii's most important natural resources. It's used for drinking water, irrigation, domestic use, commercial, industrial needs. Hydrology is like biology, but it's instead of being the study of life, it's the study of movement and distribution and the quality of water throughout the earth. So, if you are a hydrology major, what do you study when you're at school?
Hydrology.
Well, obviously you study hydrology, but you study water, and you study where the water is going. Yeah. All right. Water zones. So, water has different zones, and we call them the saturated versus the unsaturated zones. Now, the unsaturated zones would look kind of like that. Rocks have pores in them. We talked about pores. What are pores again? Like, you folks are what, 11? 12?
Yeah.
Okay. So next year, you folks have a lot of pores in your face. And you're going to get a lot of pimples in your pores. Yes, exactly. That's when the zits come. Yeah. Rocks also have lots of pores, and they don't really get pimples. The rocks don't. But they do grow a lot of bacteria in the pores, whatever. The pores in the rocks in an unsaturated zone is filled with a little bit of air and a little bit of water. Versus the pores in the rocks in the saturated zone is filled all with water. Does that make sense? This right here, the line where the unsaturated zone meets the saturated zone is basically what we call the water table. Water below this water table line is called the groundwater. It's all the water in the saturated zone. Okay? Groundwater system in Hawaii. In Hawaii, the major fresh groundwater systems are below the lowest water table, and either freshwater lens or dike impounded systems. I forgot what I typed there. What is that? Me now? Whatever. All right. Let me explain to you guys what's going on. I call this a freshwater lens system. It looks kind of like a contact lens, right? It comes all the way this way. The freshwater is contained underground in that lens. This line right here, do you see this line with that little arrow right there? What is this line referring to? What is that line called? Come on, I just covered this with you. Hey, you know what? No, it's called, no, don't tell me about how old you are. I'm asking about the line. This line is called what? Not the sand. This line is called the water table, right here. Do you guys got it? Below the water table is the saturated zone, which is also called the groundwater. Above it is the unsaturated zone. Now, this fresh water will mix in with this salty groundwater. And the salty, why is the groundwater salty in this area over here?
Because of the ocean.
Because of the ocean, exactly. And so there happens to be a transition zone that happens right between the fresh groundwater and the salty groundwater that we call the brackish mixing zone. What does brackish mixing zone mean? And Seamus, I need you to be on task. Does anyone know what brackish mixing, what does brackish water mean? There we go, Sierra. Yeah, exactly. It's a mix. It's a freshwater / saltwater mix. Does that make sense? Like, if you go out to Waimea, which a lot of you are on Oahu, so I'm going to make an analogy to this. But if you go out to Waimea, there's the Waimea Falls, right? Have you ever been out to Waimea?
Yes.
You know, with the rock?
Yes.
All right. And then there's lots of places on Kauai and Big Island, even more than on Oahu. But if you go out to Waimea Falls, if you go towards the ocean, all of that water in the falls is fresh water, right? And all of the water in the ocean is salt water. So there's this like kind of lake in the middle, and it's not really a lake. It's kind of like just the runoff from the Waimea Falls mixes in with the salt water. That is called brackish water. It's the in-between water. Cool? Yeah, it's gross water too. Don't drink it. Don't drink it. Leptospirosis. All right. So, on Oahu, we have this lens system, and
10 more minutes.
we have this lens system. Hey, I have lots of time. All right. All right. We have this lens system, and it's all of the water that is, most of the water that's on Oahu comes from the Pearl Harbor Aquifer, which is an underground or groundwater aquifer that is super important to Hawaii, and it's the most exploited. What do I mean when I say exploited? Not big. Exploded? No. Used. Exactly, Quinn. It's the most used. In fact, it's used so much. And it's a freshwater lens system. All right. There's a different type of system that water can be held in, and it's called a dike system. All right, Isabella, how am I going to grade you guys on this filter project? Oh, I need to remember to tell you. If you're coming to Filter Fest, that's where we're going to do your final test on your filters. You are not having a final exam in this class for quarter 1. You're going to have one for quarter 2.
The kids in Kauai, so they build their filters.
But the kids in Kauai, what they can do so what we're doing is, instead of having a final exam or a final paper or an essay or whatever for quarter 1, I'm going to basically make you bring in your water filters, and we're going to test them over at the thing. Now, the people on Kauai are actually going to be flying down to join us for the Filter Fest. So everyone needs to join us in the Filter Fest, and everyone needs to participate in the filter competition. Some people have been asking me about the windmill part, and my answer is this. I got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to either add points to your team's score or take off points from your team's score if you either build a filter or don't build a filter. Not filter, a windmill. Yes.
So you have to build a windmill?
So you should build a windmill. You have to.
But if we don't, you'll take off points.
And if you don't, I'll take off points. So I guess maybe technically it's optional, but it's highly recommended. Does that make sense?
Can we get like a little thingy and spin it with spoons, or can we make it out of anything?
Are all the activities like the cannon and stuff for Oahu only? What are you talking about the cannon?
I don't think it's a Filter Fest, but in February.
Oh, in February I have like the cannon stuff. Did I put that in the calendar or something?
No, someone talked about it.
Oh, okay.
You talked about it.
Oh, maybe I did. How do you build the windmill? Quinn, I gave you guys a lot of I gave you guys that resources for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I need some of those resources back because I gave 2 per group because I split those groups into smaller groups. I only want to have 1 per group, so I need to have 6 more back from you guys. Got it? Okay, we'll figure all that stuff out. All right, a dike impounded system. A dike impounded water is the most important water source for some of the islands. What these dikes are these near vertical, not completely vertical, impermeable rocks. Impermeable means the water can't go through. Rocks that form water holding compartments within the mountains. They're like you know how you can hold a lot of water in a pool because of these large vertical walls of cement, right? Rocks can form like large vertical walls, right? And if water collects in there, then that's a lot of water you can use. So a dike impounded system looks like this. You see these dike zones right here? And what they are is large vertical rocks that kind of come over here, and then the water can fill up inside of these little areas. You guys got it? Now, it's pretty awesome because usually this water table will only exist at where the sea level is, but these dike impounded zones can actually be much higher. Like, for example, on Oahu, the dike impounded waters can go up to 1,600 feet. And then on Kauai, because I know a lot of you folks are on Kauai, and even one of you is on Maui, those dike impounded water systems can go up to about 3,300 feet. Cool?
Jonathan asked the question.
Do we turn in our finished product filter by next week, Wednesday? Oh, prototype. You're going to make sure you bring in your prototype so we can use it to test we're going to test it out.
And then you make the real thing.
So I'm going to basically have you folks build it. We're going to test it on Wednesday. And then what we'll do is 2 weeks after that, we're going to have the real competition, or 3 weeks after that, I think. And you'll have a chance to make it even better.
But what if when we do the prototype it doesn't work? Would you have to make a whole another one?
If you make the prototype and it works only a little bit, then redesign it. If you guys want to make a whole different one, or scratch that idea completely and make a new one, that's fine. If you folks want to just tweak your current one and make a better one, that's fine too. All right, you guys get to come up with it.
4 minutes left.
Yes, I will email you folks all of the directions so that you won't get confused. Okay. A perched system. Now, down here is the saturated water zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up here in this picture is the do we do a prototype too, Mr. Dalday? Yes, Isabella. I'd like to see what you folks have built by next week, Wednesday.
You can do it on the webcam.
Yeah, and you can just show me it on the webcam. Wait, I get till 11:30, right?
Nope, 11:20.
Oh man, you guys just want to leave. All right, fine. Hey, you guys do realize that the faster I get, or the more thorough I get through this, the easier it is on your homework. If not, you guys have to read it all on your own. It's up to you. I can finish at 11:25. All right. Yeah, apparently you guys were like, let's go, I want to go. I don't like hanging out with Mr. All day. Fine. Let's do it. All right. Below this is the saturated zone. Above this is the unsaturated zone. Now, there could be a rock over here that is not porous at all. And when I say not porous, what does that mean? No more puka. It doesn't have any holes in it. So the water can't go through it. So what will happen when the water comes down here and lands in this on this rock that water can't go through? It has low permeability. It stays there, kind of in a little catch, you know, like a perch or a. I kind of think of this as like, imagine this is like a branch, and then this is where the eagles can build their nest, or something like that. It stays there as this mid-level water table. Groundwater recharge. I'm almost done with this thing. I've got like 3 more slides. All right, so let me just finish this. Groundwater recharge is a hydraulic process where surface water moves downward to replenish the groundwater supply. So, check this out. Rain falls over here. We've had lots of rain. The rain goes into the unsaturated zone. Eventually, it makes its way into the saturated zone, and that it passes the water table and makes its way into the saturated zone, which we call the groundwater. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. Does that happen in Waikiki or in town where I'm working right now? Can the rainwater make it down to the water table? And the reason is, why not?
Because.
Why can't? Because of the concrete. Exactly. Because there's so much concrete that we're putting over there. So where does it go? That rainwater, all that rainwater that fell, it flooded, like last week, all that rainwater that fell, huge amount of rainwater, it goes into the sewer, and then that goes into the ocean, and we don't get to use that for drinking water. We only get to use the stuff that falls into the ground that has a permeable, rocks and a permeable surface, and the concrete is not permeable. So there's a problem. In Hawaii, the amount of recharge available to enter the aquifers is the volume of, so we recharge our aquifers by rainfall, fog drip, irrigation water, and stuff that's not lost to runoff or evaporation that's stored in the soil. 2 more things, all right? Actually, I'm just going to do one last thing. Sustainable yield. The sustainable yield of an aquifer is defined by the State Water Commission as the water supply that may normally be withdrawn from a source of at a maximum rate, which will not exhaust the resources. So we only have a certain amount of fresh water in this area. And there's only a certain amount of recharge that happens because of concrete and all of that kind of stuff. So what happens if we drink more water than this thing can recharge? If we drink more water than water can be put back into the ground, then what will happen? Well, it's not necessarily that we die, but we'll be faced with a water shortage. And a water shortage is happening all over our country, all over the world, in fact. And we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure we don't take out the water faster than we're putting it back in. So that's why we make sure to, like I always tell my kids, turn off the hose when they're playing in the sprinklers outside. Turn it off, because that's wasting water. You're wasting all this fresh water. Does that make sense? You guys got it?
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about water. We talked about our project. And I'm only 2 minutes over time. And I'll tell you what, technically I'm allowed to go until 11:55. So booyah! But I'll tell you what, you guys can leave.
Okay.
All right?
Don't drink the water.
Any questions? Oh, yes, there's one more thing, because you guys were mentioning die, die, die. There's one thing where you will die. It's if you drink the water in this project. Leptospirosis. Yeah, you're right. I actually go to 12, like 10 or something like that. 12:15.
That's on Mondays.
Oh.
You go to 12:15 on Mondays.
Okay. Yeah, technically, I think I should go to 12:15 on Wednesdays as well. But don't worry, I'm not going to go. I'm done. I'm done with class. All right. So I want you folks to contact your teammates. I'm going to fix the materials list thing. I want you to put your materials that you folks are going to be using, get some research done, and build me a prototype that you are going to bring in to class on Wednesday next week.
Awkward silence.
All right? All right, you can leave. But before I leave, I'd like to tell you, don't drink the water. There. I said it. So now if anyone drinks the water and gets sick, it's not my fault.
Did you do the archive?
I archived this.
You have proof.
I have proof that I told you. Like 15 times. Don't drink the water. Oh, 16 times. Right there. All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the class, but you guys can, if I leave the class, if I exit, does that?
No, you have to end the class at the whole thing. If you
Okay, if I leave the class, that means you guys can still stick around, right? All right. I'm going to leave the class, but I want you, maybe if you folks don't want to leave, then meet up with your team. Then talk to your team about what you folks are going to do.
Okay.
Maybe do it in like a smaller session. Yeah, no. If I leave, you guys can still stay, right?
Yeah, that's how ours went.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. All right, fine. I'll stay a little bit longer. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go downstairs and go get stuff. But I'm going to stop the video recording,